Welcome to the Lean Lounge, a podcast brought to you by Lean Revisions. Please welcome your host, Jeff Gray.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Lean Lounge. My name is Jeff Gray, and I'm the CEO of Lean Revisions. As you know, we talk about everything under the Lean Operations umbrella, how we can help businesses become more efficient and effective in what they do out there in the world and their organizations. And today, I've got a special friend here that I've known for about 6 months or so. DeiMarlon, Scisney. I mess my guest names up sometimes. I say it right?
Yes.
So we call him D. And I met D at a conference. Oh no, I met you on a Zoom, I think it was. And it was about the Black-owned business enterprise, where you break out the sessions and meet each other. And before we get into what D is going to talk about, we call him D because he's the data man. Welcome, my friend.
Thank you.
And why don't you just tell everybody a little bit about yourself, who you are, what you do, 30 seconds, minute, we'll get into that conversation in a minute.
Yeah, so super excited to be here. Thank you so much.
Definitely.
So hello everybody, DeiMarlon Scisney, but call me D or the data guy. And my background is data and machine learning engineering. I actually met Jeff, as he said, by way of a Zoom call. And really talking about just data management, data processes, data governance. So spent some time in corporate America, about 7 years at Amazon Web Services. Left there to start a social impact and equity analytics firm. So actually taking the usage of data and applying it from an infrastructure level, but also how can we take data and better provide resources and better provide funding to communities that are underrepresented as well. So been doing that now for about 2 years. Also, my master's is in data engineering as well, but didn't spend too much time in data or tech beforehand. I was actually on the pre-med track. I wanted to be the next Ben Carson and work on baby brains. Yeah. And then found this next kind of transition into tech and found skills that were transferable and haven't looked back since. So.
See, I did not know that about you. You wanted to work on brains?
Yes.
And now you work in data systems.
Yes.
So the brain is a data system, right?
Yeah, I think, getting a robot to think like a human, right? It's a system, it's a brain within itself, a thing, so.
Interesting. Pre-med, I didn't know you, I don't think you ever told me that, yeah. Very cool, very cool. So you went from corporate America into doing your own thing.
Yes.
You're a young man, so what was it about corporate America that made you think, let me go try something else? Or did anything, or you just had an urge or wanted to try something new, or something didn't work for you?
So it was the whole thing that, return on investment was definitely a key factor, right?
Yeah.
In that I was bringing AWS, close to $200 million.
Okay.
And of
Show
that,
me the money.
right? I was not seeing that 10% of that. So just the return on investment was what put the icing on the cake. But I actually had the opportunity. I was blessed to start a multi-million-dollar program with Amazon Web Services. I worked with Tiffany Johnson, who actually started the Black Business Accelerator and is now at Microsoft leading minority business affairs and in business on the business side.
Really?
And worked with Denise Quasi as well, who started the Underrepresented Founders Initiative. To start the Underrepresented Partner Initiative. So we as engineers, we as sellers, we as consultants, right, whatever you're really doing, solutions architects as well, you can strategize and help the client implement, but when it comes to the actual hands-on keyboard work, so doing the infrastructure build out, we would shift people to our partner network. Well, unfortunately, less than 5% of that network, of that 127,000, was diverse. So there was 6 women out of 127,000. There were 4 Black partners, right, out of 127,000.
Wow.
Latine, indigenous, right? So the representation was not there. So really focusing on that and how can we leverage that data, right, to better suit and create programming to amplify the diverse partners are part of the network as well. So did that and launched that. It was successful, and then left there after, this whole idea came over. It was like, hey, well, I can do this for myself as well, right? If I can do this at a multi-billion-dollar,
the fire was lit. Yeah, that's
they
good.
actually awarded me $27 million to be able to create that program at AWS.
So that you got that money in the bank.
Yeah, so I did that and was the director and led that program.
Oh, so that was your budget.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought they put that in your back pocket.
No.
Oh, okay. That was your golden parachute for that 200 million.
Right.
Okay. I was like, oh, I didn't know that either, man.
But I will preface, right, for the
That's
younger
cool, though.
audience that may be looking at, tech as an industry or something like that. I, was blessed to be there for some time and get stock options. Right, and so that is on the corporate side another advantage and one that incentivized me to move on, right, and start my own thing was that stock package after that 5-year allotment as well.
So you had a parachute, you had some stability.
Yeah.
So now I'm a little older than you, and you said a lot of tech kind of stuff. So we're talking lean operations and, optimizing. How does all of this tech stuff help with a business be streamlined, be organized, be efficient? Is there a link?
Yeah.
How does that work?
So people always say, they don't know where to start, right? Really, when it comes to that data side. And in looking at the data, right, only 27% of small businesses have a modern data strategy. And so when I say that, actually understand what they're doing with their data. And so in that aspect, before you can start overlaying the 1,000,001 tools, you first need to understand what that workflow looks like and what that data looks like and what you're trying to do with that data.
There you go. What's the final result?
And so when you're talking about a modern data strategy, that's pretty well going to be the same. That's going to be your foundation. It won't change, right? How you ingest that data may change, right? But ingestion itself is going to happen, right? Data is going to come in. It's going to be stored somewhere.
Gotcha.
Right? There's going to be some processing or ETL, right? Where you extract, transform, load that data, right? Or pull out the relevant data that you need.
Okay.
And then maybe want to visualize that data, right? But
graphs,
it's
charts.
getting it to a structured form, right? From a semi-structured or unstructured side, right? With data just coming in. And so with that, right, really being cognizant in what that data journey looks like, what that workflow looks like, and then worrying about the overlay of tools after that, right? And so where that tech comes into play now is things like, CRM, right? That ingestion, that storage of that data, right? Where that storage is going to be happening.
Right.
Aside from that, productivity, right? Things like Asana and Monday and different tools like that to be able to help with productivity.
To integrate.
And so it's understanding the data, it's understanding the flow of that data, right? Being able to overlay tools, and then getting those tools to talk to each other.
That's the key.
Tool like Zapier, for example.
When you say, I had pieces of things that people told me I needed. And I never could figure out why I needed this piece and that piece, and they kind of overlap, but they didn't work together or talk.
Yeah.
So you're talking about data. First thing could be anything a company needs to operate.
Right.
Customer feedback, quality issues, workforce management. Is that right?
Right.
Any kind of analytics. So all of that is what you mean by the ingestion piece, right?
Yeah. So let's just take what you just said, customer feedback, right?
Yeah.
So you have a feedback form that you want clients to fill out, right? So that feedback form is going to be created in something like Google Forms or Typeform or something like that. So actually creating the form first. Then once that form is created, it's probably going to be uploaded on something like your website, right? Where people can access that and then click on that and be able to fill that
information.
So it's going to be embedded on your website. Nice. Right? Yeah. And from that form coming from your website, then you may want to store that information or pull specific information, right? So,
age, gender, demographics, financial,
actually getting that information and then storing it somewhere. So that feedback form may then be stored in your CRM, right? Based on, your clients and based on who you're working with, right? And then once that happens, right, then, you may want to follow up with them to check back in to see if that problem or that feedback thing that they suggested was handled, right? So then actually automating that email outreach with something like MailChimp. Right. So I just mentioned like three tools, 3 tools within there. And you can actually get those tools to talk to each other, right? And trigger your workflow. That's why I said it's good to understand your workflow, right? So understanding that you want a form filled out, you're trying to collect information from that form, right? And you want that information to be stored in a certain place, right? Is your workflow. So actually now mapping that out in something like Zapier to get it to integrate and talk with each other to say, hey, when this form is filled out, right, store this information here in the CRM. Right. After 3 days, follow up with that client.
Gotcha.
Right. And then, send a response email following up a week later to see if that problem has been taken care of.
Gotcha.
Right. That workflow can be automated, right? And the tools can be overlaid to optimize and automate your processes as well.
So all I need to do is put it in once, hit one button, and it takes care of it for me.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I was doing all of it, and my team were bouncing around. Yeah. So I remember when I was talking to you, a month ago, so not even that long ago, you were talking about this. And that's why I said I need you, because those of us, north of 40, might need a little help.
Right. I got you. Get things to talk to each other, right? It's important.
And keep it simple. So that was a great analogy and a walkthrough of the roadmap of how it works. When you say workflow, I'm thinking of a manufacturing line, making widgets. But you're just thinking of an information line.
Right.
Transferring data, managing that data.
Correct.
Yeah. Nice. Cool. So you own a company, right? That does this?
Yes.
And what's the name of your company?
Guess I should have said that.
I was thinking about when you're talking. We need to say who you are and what the company is.
Yes. So it's HOP Technology Solutions. It's based on that small business maturity study by Deloitte that states that only 27% of small businesses have a modern data strategy. And so it's helping the overlooked prosper is HOP. And it's focusing on helping the overlooked, meaning Black, Latine, Indigenous, underrepresented, right?
Nice.
Through data, but then also helping individuals that oftentimes overlook an important factor, which is data, right, prosper as well. So it's a double entendre on the overlooked, focusing on the underrepresented, but also the underutilization and understanding of the importance of data as well.
Right. A lot of people collect a lot of data.
Yes.
But they don't know what to do with it or how to make it work for them. I do that with a lot of my clients. I'll walk in there and say, what do you got? What are your metrics? We call it metrics, your KPIs, and that's data. So what are you capturing it for? And how I use it to measure the quality of their business functions. Mm-hmm. So it's always metrics. There's always goals and targets and analyzing it. When you're doing what you're doing, do you set goals and targets and things like that helps people? Because I'm always focused on the efficiency and the cost and the operations. What kind of things do you put in place to help businesses look at that?
Yeah, for sure. So before we can even bake out a full data management plan, right, or a modern data strategy, those used interchangeably.
Right.
Before you can even get there, you need to understand what you want to do with the data. Right. So what are the goals around the data? What are your goals for even wanting to implement these tools and things, right, that may come about? Because oftentimes people will adopt tools and not understand the complexity or the full capacity of the tools, right? Being sold something. So really understanding what your goal is as an organization, as an individual, right? As a stakeholder in that organization as well. Because even then, what a director may want, right, is going to be different from what a project manager may want, which is going to be different from what a data analyst
There's
may
the problem.
Want, right?
Yeah.
So really understanding from a business level, but also from an individual contributor level, exactly what you want to gain from the data, and the goals around that, and then set a timeline, right? Because oftentimes you can get lost in the sauce or lost in the tools as well, and spend a lot of time trying to vet and go through that, right? But of course, allocating enough time for those demos and teaching materials, but don't get too caught in the weeds around it.
Right. So the bigger the organization, the longer it's going to take, more complexity, potentially.
Potentially. It doesn't always have to be.
Depends on how good they're operating already, I'd imagine.
Right. Yeah, because somebody that's operating on pen and paper is a little bit different than someone that may, be at least using Google Drive or.
He said that because he saw the sticky pads on my desk. And told me I need to get a little more organized, Jeff. Will it help?
Sticky notes, okay. Well, we can get those digital.
Yeah, you did show me the digital ones. Yeah, just a few minutes before we started filming this. He's like, here's some digital. He was being subtle. Here's some digital sticky pads as he was looking at my desk with all motor. So, baby steps, little data management. Okay. Nice. Very cool. So, what kind of nuggets of knowledge would you leave some of our listeners, about data, structuring, setting up a system? What would they maybe have to do first? And then what does it take to get organized and get it aligned? I think you kind of said, know what you want to do, but any other nuggets that you might be able to share with people?
So there's a difference in data management, and there's a difference between that and data governance. And so data governance is a framework, right? And when you talk about data governance, that's the intersection of data and security, right? And so once you actually have the data management plan, now you have to think about the security concerns.
Yeah.
Now you have to think about, life cycle policies. How long do you want to retain this data? What is the categorization of this data? Is it category 1, 2, 3 as far as importance and things of that nature, right? So really being able to now take it one step further, right? And overlay a framework to your structure, right? Because data management is a structure, right? That is an architecture, right? Where you're ingesting data with a certain type of tool or function, right? You're storing that data in a database or, whatever that may be. You're processing, you're deriving insights, you're visualizing, right? That is an architecture, right? As opposed to a framework. And so within that, really being cognizant on first, identifying that goal and being able to work backwards from that. Then get the data management plan in order, right? Before you start just overlaying services, truly understand the life cycle of that data. And then once that's there, now being able to go over and overlay data governance,
I like
and
that.
Understanding life cycles, your security measures, who has access to what, all of that kind of stuff.
Legal, risk, cybersecurity. All that
and then
stuff.
There's even compliances in certain industries, right? Things like HIPAA compliance, right? If you're in healthcare, or PII if you're dealing with personal identifiable information, like Social Security and things like that, right? Is really important to think about with data. Yeah,
a lot of people don't, especially I think smaller businesses that don't have the resources. Because what system do I use? We're all looking for a one-stop to fix it all. And then that's why we buy 10 and we don't know how to use half of what we bought and they still don't work. So I like that. Really, and the security piece is crucial. Like for workforce, when you're just even interviewing people, what can you gather and how do you store it securely? Those kind of things.
Right.
So another question. What is AI, if at all, has anything to do with any of this? Is that something we should be grateful for, scared of, leave it alone? What is all that stuff that's doing with our data?
Yeah.
Or is that another whole podcast?
That would be another whole podcast for sure. But what I can just give a brief snippet on is AI in regards to these tools and being able to really optimize and automate a lot of these processes, right? So it's one thing to trigger functions. So to say, if X, then Y, then Z, right? As far as your tools. And being able to say, hey, when this form is filled out, store this information here, right? Send an email and things of that nature. But actually doing that interaction, right, can is where AI comes into play, right? So actually going in and engaging with the client as far as, let's say, on your website, you have a chat bot that pops up to take in message queries. Right. So now that AI can come in and actually categorize the importance of those, right? So let's say that, it's a category 1 versus a category 4, right? Well, AI will actually be interacting with that individual, actually doing that interaction, then categorizing that information, right? But then also creating a tailored response, right? Based on emails that it's been trained in your language, right? Or your vernacular, and then actually generating a customized email to that individual based on that query that they were needing or that they had beforehand. So that's where AI kind of comes into play now, is it almost becomes your assistant, if it will.
So I was just thinking while you were saying that, it can solve some of the smaller problems that you don't need to get someone on the phone and say, hey, costing you the business, you can type it in, boom. I can see that, yeah. But I do want to talk to a person sometimes.
yes. But it's really helpful too, because now these AI devices are starting to actually become mobile, right? So something like the Rabbit. So it's the Rabbit OS. I just, ordered mine and it came in. It's a little square device that is actually a fourth of the cost of an iPhone. So you're paying $1,000 for an iPhone, but for this AI device, it was only like $198, and you literally have full capabilities of AI right there in the palm of your hand, to where you can ask it to write an outline for a dissertation that you're wanting, or you can ask it to scan this image of an art piece. It actually has a rotating camera to actually scan art, or to scan things in real time and tell you what they are.
Tell you the history of it.
And so it actually becomes
great for learning.
Your virtual assistant, and it's cheaper than an iPhone, and can actually go further than an iPhone as well. Because Siri with Apple Intelligence, it can't compute, right, and go as far as what AI is capable of going with, like ChatGPT as of now.
Really?
Right. And so with these AI devices now coming out, we're seeing this transition from AI as a service, right, as tools, or as a SaaS, right, where you log in, or it's digital, to where it's becoming mobile as well. So.
Man, you were you were having me think about a lot of ways I could use that iRabbit thing with what I do. Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, one-stop shop and $1.98. Yeah, I can do that. Love that. Wow, you made me think. As you were talking, a lot of things were popping in my head about data, the risk especially. I speak a lot about process and mitigating risk from the start of a project, but I think about all that data stuff. Very cool.
Yeah,
very cool.
Risk is important.
Well, you were thinking HIPAA and privacy and finance and hacking. Yeah. And that's where your organization can help set up those systems and put in those firewalls or whatever too. He does all kinds. He's being very humble. I know what he does at a high level, but he does a lot of deep stuff that every time I talk to him, I'm like, really, dude?
Well, thank
you just tell me something new that I'm like, okay, I could use that.
Yes, we definitely do everything from data management, actually go in and implement, a data management plan. And then strategize and do that implementation. So actually building up that infrastructure as well. Overlay data governance and security measures, and then on top of that, really being able to take that data full cycle into visualization. We also do BI, so business intelligence, and actually doing dashboarding, right, with Power BI or Tableau, or Apache Superset or whatever that may be.
Wow,
Smart
nice.
Sheet, yeah. So really focusing on data in its totality,
Right.
from ingestion to actually
From into it.
visualizing the insights as well.
I always tell people that I work with, and they complain about all the reports they do and all that. And I'm like, just don't do them for a week and see who complains. If you still have a job, you did the right report. But I tell people that, and they look at me like, what? I said, just don't do them for a week and see if someone goes, hey, D, where's that report?
Right.
Then what are we doing that data collection for? What are we doing that time analyzing it for?
Right.
Is it still relevant from 10 years ago when maybe we needed it, but now we don't, and people who wanted it are gone? I mean, it happens all the time everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
Wow, very cool. I was going to think also, one of the things we do when we look at an organization and looking to do an ERP system or something, we really map that out in minute detail so when the developers come in, they can see the inputs and how that step in the translation or transformation needs to take place, and then what the output needs to be to the user. So a lot of times I don't see developers looking at the user experience. And I think that's where, if they look at that, how do you design it for the user experience? Because a lot of us just want to hit the button and make it happen. And we're getting short-term memories and hurry up.
For sure.
But I like to be able to interpret something and have it do what I need rather quickly and be easy for me to figure out.
Yeah,
You know?
really, this participatory design aspect, right, where you bring not only the tech team or
Yeah, right.
head
I like that.
honchos. Participatory. Yes,
There you go.
yes,
That
yes.
one.
But really focusing on getting the right stakeholders and getting people that are going to be interacting with the platform or interacting with the data, right, or understand the data. Outside of just that, that org.
Yeah, right.
Because that's where data siloing starts to happen.
Right.
And you
Becomes
get
obsolete.
organizations, that where finance is not talking to marketing or marketing is not talking to engineering and things of that nature. And the data, then it becomes a jumbled mess.
Right.
And so really
Worthless,
being able to focus on that conversation aspect, but that happens through participatory design and ensuring that everybody from the company, right, each individual stakeholder, person that's going to interact with that data is there at the table to design that process. Yeah,
I've seen it happen. We've all seen it happen. Someone puts in a system up here, and the people out here go, what the heck was that?
Right.
And they don't use it, and then people are wondering, we spent all this time and no one uses it.
Yeah.
Well, you didn't roll it out right, you didn't communicate, you didn't train people, they don't see the benefit, and there's your $1 million.
Yeah.
I see it all the time.
Yeah, for sure. I was just at Marathon getting some gas, and this woman, she got a complete attitude because I went up to the thing, and the machine had told me, hey, the cashier has your receipt. So I went up there and I told the lady, I was like, yeah, the machine told me you have my receipt or whatever. She was like, no, son, listen, I don't think that anybody at these companies that deal with the software actually communicate with us, right? Because that does not talk to anything whatsoever.
Whoa.
It's just a bunch of
Really?
mumbo jumbo on the screen. And I was like, oh, interesting, okay. But yeah, just going back to that point, just ensuring that line of communication from a top-down approach is really important, right?
Very cool.
Because those are the types of people that are actually interacting with it on a day-to-day basis. So.
You just made me think. The other day I went and got gas, and I hit the receipt, and they said the cashier has it, and I was like, man, I'm done. I'm not walking all the way back. That's why I did the thing at the pump.
Right.
It might be a ploy. It might be a ploy. We ain't got your receipt. This thing ain't talking to each other. We don't even think about it, but everything. Like, remember what, a couple weeks ago when all the data incident happened across the U.S. and across the world? Yeah. Airlines were shut down, transportation, supply chain, hospital, all that was that. You had me thinking that's that data security, that governance. Yeah. What happened? We probably, who knows? But very interesting. I'm gonna have to have you on again.
Yes. Please.
And I'm sure we can probably work together on something with some clients, because when we get to that design and that re-engineering of process and systems and the data that they need, definitely, see if, some collaboration can happen there. I love that. Yeah.
Yes, for sure. I'm always willing to collaborate. But I did want to preface as well.
Yeah.
And this is not, you can take this with a grain of salt, but we are living in a world where AI, data is the new oil, right?
Ooh,
and
really?
So really
Wow.
being able to take hold of the tools, right?
Yeah.
But also take hold of the financial gains that come from investing in these companies that are coming out with these solutions as well. So I will
Nice.
say, right, if you're familiar with like NVIDIA, NVIDIA is the chip maker now that's making all of these super chips, right? Samsung is in the game as well with their semiconductors and things of that nature.
Nice.
But NVIDIA stock has taken off like tenfold to the point to where they actually had to do a stock split because their stock got so expensive.
Wow.
But NVIDIA, Samsung, right? You're thinking, Microsoft, all of these, major tech companies right now. And then even going back to your point with the cybersecurity issue, that also caused a lot of stocks to tank. Right, and so now is the time to really buy low, right? Sit on it, wait, and things of that nature. Again, this is not financial advice, but I'm just saying take advantage of the opportunities that are there, because I sure have, and it's been very fruitful in these investments as well.
Good. That's the nuggets of knowledge. Everything you said is very interesting and can help in a lot of aspects for a lot of people. I like that last tip.
Yes.
We'll
and
tag
we need to
them
come
in here.
together,
Yeah.
right? And really understand that, and invest together and talk to each other around this type of thing. Because that's what the rich do, right?
Yeah.
Very, very wealthy, the top 1%.
They network,
right? They
and
network and they understand the market, right? And how it's moving and shifting. And invest when things are low. And right now, stocks are at an all-time low because of, security issues. And, all the things that's been happening at these executive companies.
So it's still kind of in the discovery development phase is kind of what I'm getting out of it. So it's getting there, but not quite there yet. So pick what their channel or what their output's going to be, or
pick the ones that are influencing the back end, right, and the front end.
Okay.
Right, and so somebody like NVIDIA that's actually generating all of the chips that are going into
the operator.
the
Okay,
supercomputers,
that'd be the hearts.
right,
Yeah,
that are
right.
going into all of these systems and the compute that's happening.
Right. The processing. Yeah.
Coming from NVIDIA. Right.
Okay.
So a company like that is super valuable right now and just skyrocketed within the past year around AI.
Really?
Right. That's one example.
Cool.
Another is, other companies that are getting into that are getting into AI as well. I was almost about to say IBM, but that's another company, right? And things like that. But just really being cognizant around who's the movers and shakers and who's actually doing the infrastructure build outs and the
building the road is kind of what you're saying. Yeah.
For these companies that are then coming and leveraging their, for example, chips, in that instance.
So you said it's the new oil, so you made me think of the road, we're driving down, very cool.
For sure.
Good stuff.
Yes.
Wow. I'm definitely gonna have to have you back on. And
yes, would love to.
Yeah, man. Nuggets of knowledge, you got a lot of them. That's why when I met him 6 months ago, I was like, I gotta talk to you. Young technology, doesn't use sticky pads.
I use them. The digital ones.
The electronic ones, awesome. All right, well, my friend, one more time, tell them your contact information, how they can get a hold of you, and I'm sure somebody's gonna reach out and say, hey, young man, can I talk? Yeah,
so if you, I am a team of 8, right, so it's not just me. We're all ex-Amazon, Apple, Meta, right, so ex-corporate. And you can get in contact with us if you need assistance, again, with anything on the data side, from data management, right, data governance, But then also, once we have that structured data, being able to understand and do things with AI, right? So if you're curious about AI, what AI can do for your company, how it can help your business, and how to overlay that to your current processes, we can also do that as well. And you can reach us at info@hopservices, hopservices.us. That's the direct email address. My phone number, 812-568-4411. And yeah.
Awesome. You
Hop Technology Solutions.
Might get a lot of calls. Yeah, definitely. Thank you, my friend. Thank you. And everyone out there listening, my name's Jeff Gray, Lean Revisions. We do all the Lean's operation stuff. You can go to our website and go through our free white belt videos. They're like an hour long for about 10 videos, telling you about the methodology. Similar to what Dee was talking about, the data methodology. This is the roadmap. Kind of gets you understanding what it is. Calculators up there for COPQs, templates to download. What I should probably start doing, and you made me think of that too, is put some of the guest logos up there for click-throughs and information. That would be cool. Not a lot of podcasts do that. I think I might start. We're still kind of putting things together, but a lot of good information from everybody who's been on here. They all have a piece of the puzzle that are helping people, in business, in operations, in their communities and organizations. So definitely. And thank you, KPI Fire, for being our sponsor. And we're on all the podcasts, Apple, Spotify, Sirius, iHeart, you name it. If you want to be in the audience, contact us at contact@leanrevisions.com. And we will see you next time. And once again, thank you, Dee.
Thank you.
All right. Take care, everybody. See you soon.
For more information on today's show or to become a sponsor, visit leanrevisions.com. Join the virtual studio audience by emailing podcast@leanrevisions.com for tickets. Follow us on YouTube, LinkedIn, Instagram, and X. This podcast is hosted by Jeff Gray, produced and edited by Make Your Day Richer.